Coming up on show 825, we're gradually getting more details of the Lucid Air, and now we find out it's going to be very, very slippery. Stick around, I'll tell you more. On the podcast today, we're talking about Tesla and the new software update, which is a hint towards future battery sizes. Citroen C4 is an all-electric car. Mazda justify the tiny battery in their MX-30. Also, Tesla's Model 3 is rocketing up the UK sales charts, and a lot more as well on the show today. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to EV News Daily for Tuesday, 30th of June. My name is Martyn Lee, and I go through every EV story so you don't have to. 10 of the best today, 10 of the most positive stories to put a smile on your face if you, like me, love EVs. Well, here's 10 of the best for you. We'll start with number 1, and that is news of the Ford Mustang Mach-E. It's going to be more powerful than originally advertised. Not by much, but we'll take it, right? Order books are now open. So, in the US, if you want a Mach-E, we said last week that there was some sort of stealth ordering of the books, or of the order books. Dealers could get in early, obviously, and then like Thursday, Friday time last week, they were kind of unofficially open for everyone, but now Ford has opened the order books for their all-electric crossover. If you want another reason to love the car anymore, it just got more powerful. The Mach-E was announced late last year, and already it's getting more power. The standard range has 11 more horsepower for the both rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. There's the extended range, getting another 8 horsepower, and then there is the extended range all-wheel drive, another 14 horsepower on top of the specs that we already knew. No change to the top-of-the-line GT performance model, but look, that's still only, you're going to do reservation only on that anyway. So, again, I'm getting my head around how they separate out their spec levels, as it were, so they kind of go in ranges and then motors. So they call it the extended range all-wheel drive, extended range rear-wheel drive, standard range all-wheel drive, standard range rear-wheel drive. If I could, I would have the extended range rear-wheel drive. So it'll now produce 290 brake horsepower, which is plenty powerful for me. That's up from 282. And of course, that's the one that will get the best range as well. They are targeting 300 miles of range for that one. The long range, not long, that's Tesla's terminology, extended range rear-wheel drive. So single motor, very efficient. I don't need all-wheel drive in this country. It's not that cold. I don't need the performance, but everybody needs range. Whatever EV you're buying, you need the range. These days, there's not enough chargers. There won't be for a while as there's more EVs coming. Look, if you're buying an EV, get the range. So that would be mine, but I'm not exactly in the market to buy a Mach-E today, but maybe you are. And here's an interesting thought. Did they always have this up their sleeve as a way on the day that the order books are opened, oh, by the way, they're more powerful than we said? Or has it been a case of letting the engineers go away and have a little play, and they came back with some good news? Maybe it's a combination of both. Maybe it's a happy accident that it timed nicely with the order books opening. Maybe I'm just cynical. I am pretty cynical most of the time. I wonder what it is. But if you're in the market for that, then, I'd love to hear from you if you even ordered one and you were listening to this podcast. Let me know. Next, a car that I'm excited about more and more the closer it gets. Lucid and the Lucid Air. We now know it's going to be incredibly slippery. It's going to have a drag coefficient of 0.21 CD. What Lucid say is the world's most efficient, aero-efficient luxury car in that segment. They're going for around 400 miles of range, so they're in, Model S, 100 kilowatt hour pack, long range plus whatever they've had to call it these days to get the 400 miles. Tesla Model S, nobody really needs that much range in one go, but if they're offering it, you know what, take it. The Lucid Air is a car whose styling, I'm surprised, is divisive, only because I know beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but I love it. Very low-slung, four-door, big sedan, saloon, whatever you want to call it. It's well-engineered. The team behind it is led by Mr. Model S, the guy that used to be at Tesla. Peter Rawlinson is the CEO, CTO as well. They've got some amazing engineering going on there. The efficiency in their powertrain and also their battery technology is looking like it's going to be very, very impressive. And now we know, a little tidbit of data today, that they say it's going to have a very, very low drag on that. And that's important for EVs at speed. Not important when you're driving around at 20 mile an hour in stop-start traffic. Very important if you're doing long road trips where air resistance becomes a bigger factor in terms of how far you can go and how efficient your car is. The draggier they are, then the less efficient they are. Of course, EVs, when you think about it, no exhaust pipes, so that all that aerodynamic disturbance at the back of cars isn't there. There's no exhaust, less cooling, a bit of cooling. People, it's a common misconception that you don't need a grill on an EV. You do. You need some vents, you need some cooling, but not too much. And a lot less than a combustion engine, which of course needs air in order to breathe. And so the front of the cars can be much more efficient. I'm excited. Let's talk about a car that is, you know what, not going to get all of the headlines, but I think is really, really compelling at a price point where people walk into a dealer and get a good deal on a car. Citroen. Now, Citroen hasn't offered a classic compact model for 2 years. The C4 designation is on the way back, though, and the French company have now opted for a different body and all-electric drive, says the website electrive.com. They call it the new era of the compact car, and it's going to be based on very similar architecture to what the other similar cars that I've told you about recently. 50 kilowatt hour battery in the C4, which is kind of a minimum these days. Anything less than that for this kind of price point is going to be troublesome. They're aiming for 350 kilometers on the WLTP test cycle, 9.5 seconds 0 to 60, not winning the traffic light Grand Prix, but very efficient, good price, 3-phase AC charging on board, so 11 kilowatt onboard charger. And if you put it in the same category as the other cars built on that platform, so the Corsa E, the Mokka, the Zafira, E-Life, the Vivaro, the Vans, the Peugeot, the E208, the E2008, the E-Traveller, all these cars I've been talking about for such a long time now. The DS3 E-Tense Crossback. By the way, inside the Citroen, they're going to have like in the dashboard, around the glove compartment, they're going to have a sort of a fold-out smartphone/tablet holder that'll hold your device in place for the passenger, so you can use devices that even in an accident, they hold the device in place. Let's look at the specs of the Citroën. It's called the EC4. And so, yeah, those specs that I've told you about with its cousin cars on that same platform, the battery pack of 50 kilowatt hours, the powertrain power of 100 kilowatts of power is enough for that kind of mid-range family car. Maximum speed 93 miles an hour, because why would you want to go quicker on public roads? And 46 kilowatt hours usable at the end of the day. They use cells from CATL in these, by the way. It's in a 108 S2P, 108 series 2 parallel configuration, 216 cells in total from CATL for battery nerds. The range, though, get this, 217 miles. Now that's a lot more than the equivalent cars. The DS3 is coming in at 199 miles, the Peugeot is coming in at 199 miles, the Vauxhall Opel Mokka is coming in at 200 miles, the Corsa E is 209, this one coming in at 217 miles. Well done, Citroen, on eking just a little bit more efficiency out of your car. And, there's no prices on this today, but what's this going to be? Mid-20s, 24, 25,000 by the time we factor in some incentives on that. You know what? By the time you pay monthly and you go into your Citroen dealer, maybe you've had a few Citroens before, this one happens to be electric, it charges really quickly as well. I kind of think these cars are going to start to sell really well this year. Let's talk about a Chinese company coming to Europe. BYD is showing off the TANG. Yeah, as in TANG in Norway, in Oslo. They've got their distributor, a company called RSA Group, and it's all-wheel drive. It's a compact SUV. BYD are going to put it on sale this year. It goes into production at the end of the year, so customer deliveries will probably slip into 2021. Uses the new BYD Blade battery, which they're really proud of. Very, very safe. You can't, you puncture it. There's no thermal events. It's very safe in a crash, all that kind of stuff. A new level of safety and performance on this as well. 20 dealerships in the network that are going to sell it, and we'll see if anyone in Norway wants to buy a BYD car. Mazda are next, and Mazda, in announcing the MX-30 for the British market, have once again wheeled out this argument they used when they did it in the US a little while ago, and the Mazda MX-30 has a 35 kilowatt hour battery pack. Usable would probably be less, actually, which is small for a car costing just under £30,000. That's going to give you a range of 124 miles or 200 kilometres on the WLTP test cycle. But Mazda say it's intentional. We've intentionally put a very small battery in it because we're green, because we're saving the planet. The reason you should buy the Mazda MX-30, according to them, is that a small battery size is actually crucial for reducing CO2 emissions over the entire life cycle. That's it, right, life cycle of the vehicle. So what they've done a life cycle assessment and said, if you buy an EV with a bigger battery than we put in, over the life cycle, there's more CO2, you see, because you had to make a bigger battery, whereas us, small battery. Okay. They also say smaller batteries, lighter. So it's going to be loads of fun to drive. Handling, agility, driver engagement. You can probably tell from the smile in my voice, I'm not fully buying this argument. It's poor. 35 kilowatt hour battery, 124 miles, a car that's going to cost £27,500, even when you take off all of the grants and things like that. No one's going to buy that. It's just, you're going to walk into your Mazda dealer. How far does it go? 124 miles on a good day, before it gets cold. Right, no thanks. What's that Citroen we were just talking about? 217 miles, and it will be cheaper. Okay. Look, the Mazda's got some interesting styling. It's got the BMW i3 doors. Call them suicide doors, if you will. And it's got some nice touches. It's not exciting to look at inside. It's a Mazda. Why did they go so small on the battery? Big mess up. Big mess up, Mazda. Using that CO2 argument of actually everybody else should be putting small batteries in because it's the green thing to do. Yeah, we're not buying that. Right, let's talk about the US Department of Energy helping to secure EV battery supplies despite the fossil fuel bias in the current administration, and that's me being generous. The US Department of Energy has been paying attention to EVs and wants to secure critical battery supplies in the supply chain, writes Clean Technica today. They say that the DOE issued a request for information as it announced that it's looking for ways to reduce the need for critical materials in batteries and also for ways to support the recycling of those batteries. It asked for input on the current state of the battery cathode materials supply chains. Interesting stuff. Not sure what difference that'll make. Companies like Tesla, GM, Ford are already doing their own thing on the battery front. Some of them more advanced than others. I'm not sure what government interference or government assistance. I'm sorry, I am cynical today. Government assistance will help with supply chains, but you know what? It's good that they're just not being cynical about EVs. Have you seen a video online I was watching over the weekend? Bjorn Nyland, who is quite a well-known YouTuber, lives in Norway, where obviously all the new cars are EVs. Anyway, he updated his software in his Model 3, and he noticed that the theoretical maximum battery pack size doubled. Now, I don't know Bjorn's complete history, but I gather he either worked in coding or programming, so he would understand what he's talking about here. It went over my head. Maybe you'll understand this. He said that the old software, or the existing software in Tesla cars and on the app and in the software actually in the car, is 10-bit. It's 10-bit software, and that means you can represent up to 1024 bits of data, 1024. And that means that the maximum battery pack size is 102.4 kilowatt hours, is his theory. They have just upgraded their software architecture to 11-bit software, which enables them to go up to 2048. It doubles it, which is a maximum theoretical battery pack size of 204.8 kilowatt hours. No, this doesn't mean that Teslas are suddenly going to get 204 kilowatt hour battery packs, but it does mean that it's another little sign they're just laying the groundwork and putting that software out there that means when they do upgrade the battery pack sizes to something bigger than the current 100 in the S and the X, that maybe it's Cybertruck, maybe it's Roadster, maybe it's Model S Plaid coming at the end of this year, maybe it's in place by Battery Day in September, that they are ready to go with bigger battery pack sizes. Talking of Tesla and the Model 3 rocketing up the sales charts here, we get monthly data. Let me explain. We get monthly data in this country about car sales, but it is supplied by an advocacy group which is called the SMMT. Now, car makers sign up, they pay their membership fees, and it's this lobby organisation's job to represent the car industry to things like government and to further the interests of the car industry. Now, I gather the way it works, correct me if I'm wrong, they issue monthly sales numbers pretty soon into the new month because all of the different members, of which all the car makers are, signing up and paying their subs, they supply the data. And they all put their data, this is what we sold last month, but Tesla don't sign up for it. Tesla don't want to be part of that club. They've never, as far as I think maybe they were years ago, maybe. It rings a bell. Anyway, they're not now. And so they don't do it. They don't supply this lobby body with their own data each month. Why would they? So in order to get the accurate Tesla data, we have to wait a little bit. Now, we do know now that Tesla has dominated UK EV sales charts with more than 5,000 Model 3s sold in just the first quarter alone, because after a certain amount of time, we get official government figures come out. Now, these are the official figures. They're the Department for Transport numbers. And we now know that in Q1, the Model 3 sold 5,304 cars from January to March. It is a quarter behind. Yes, we know that. It just takes them a while to update the statistics and all those kind of things. To put the Model 3 sales into context, says the website Next Green Car, in Q1 2020 alone, the Model 3 outsold the next best-selling electric vehicle more than 2-1. Here, the Nissan Leaf is the second best seller at 2,621 sales, less than half of the Model 3. The BMW 330e was a big seller as well. Of course, that's the plug-in. The MG ZS EV did almost 2,000 registrations. The Outlander, the plug-in hybrid, did 1,500 as well. So all good sellers. Other high-performing models, the e-Golf continues to sell here. The I-Pace, the E208 went on sale just in the quarter and sold some. Audi e-tron selling, and that's in the top 10 as well. So good news. Congratulations to the Tesla team for another country that seems to love what you're making. News coming from VW and the huge runaway success story that is the Tiguan, Europe's most successful SUV, is going plug-in hybrid. In 2019 alone, the Tiguan was the most popular model of the entire Volkswagen group. They made 911,000 of them. And now they're making a plug-in hybrid version, which is good news. Not a full electric version, which of course is what we would like to see, but we do know that they are adding a plug socket to it. Sadly, I think that the plug socket comes with a turbo diesel engine. Okay, not that keen on the diesel stuff, but it's good news on a car that is wildly popular. When I first read this stat a little while ago now, I just couldn't believe how many of the Tiguans they sell. Very popular car. Right, finally, we'll end with this one. And this is a fun story. Baojun, the Chinese company Baojun, have launched two new models, the E300 and the E300 Plus. These are not people carriers. These are your super small, dinky bubble cars, but they come with a bubble car price. How about €8,000? 64,000 RMB. They will go up to 190 miles, they say, but there's nothing to them. That's why. 40 kilowatts of pure power in these, and you can sit between 2 and 3 people in them. I'm not sure how far they go or how fast they go when there's 3 people loaded in. 2.5 meters long, 1.5 meters wide, 1.5 meters tall as well, and these, I wonder what sort of buyers in China, obviously this has gone on sale, will want to buy one of these cars. Maybe just people who, really just want a price-conscious, run-around kind of car. There's really not much to them at all. But you know what? Personal mobility, being serious, if you live in a city and parking's a nightmare and you want a very tiny car that fits a couple of people inside, maybe one person in the back if you're lucky, and is cheap, absolutely, why not? I don't even know the battery size on these. I can't even find out the kilowatt hours, but like I say, very light, go a long way. Well, there you go. 10 of the best for Tuesday. There's some great EV stories in there. I love the little caffeine dose of positivity that these stories do deliver into your day, and a little look at a brighter future that is around the corner. Email me your thoughts on anything that I've talked about today. My address is hello@evnewsdaily.com. Please feel free to leave a comment on the YouTube show. I do read them all. I try and reply to everyone as well, but I'm rubbish. I'm doing my best. And I'd love to hear from you. There are 824 shows in the archive. If you want to join up on Patreon, be my guest. You'll really help me out if you do, but I'll still make the show if not. Either way, enjoy it for free. And if you want to add your name to the list for what is like a posh coffee or two every month, like $5 or $10, you can see what the fuss is about. Patreon, patreon.com/EV News Daily. And my premium partners are Phil Roberts of Electric Future, Brad Crosby, Avid Technology, Brightsmith Group for Clean Tech Talent, Porsche of The Village in Cincinnati, Audi of Cincinnati East, Volvo Cars of Cincinnati East, and now NationalCarCharging.com and AlohaCharge.com. Have a wonderful day. Catch you tomorrow. And remember, there is no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.